Welcome to Lesson 4, covering data entry for templates and the Answer Questions window. If you've just completed Lesson 3, you should be looking at the All-Purpose Missile System, which has been filtered to show only those questions where Drew Analyst is the performer. The current filter has also been set to hide everything that is TBD or not applicable, and we're only seeing those risks with a very high performance impact. As demonstrated in the previous lesson, there are two ways to get into the Answer Questions window, either by browsing the question list and double-clicking a question, or by double-clicking a template in the main display window. For now, we're going to use the second method, so we'll double-click on the Design Analysis template. The first thing you'll notice when the editing window appears is that it is divided roughly in half. The top part of the screen shows all of the information related to the template itself, while the bottom part of the screen contains this template's questions. We'll cover those in just a minute. For now, let's take a look at the template information. This screen can be somewhat imposing the first time that you look at it. Depending on how much experience you have with systems engineering, you may still be trying to figure out what the term design analysis even means. Fortunately, there's an information button right here that you can click on to learn more about this template. Each template contains some basic information to help you understand what it's all about. Let's go over the rest of the items in this window, starting at the top and working our way down. First up is the begin activity date. There's a period of time totaling 18 months or 25% of the life of the program immediately prior to the begin activity date when the template is not technically active, but the program will begin asking you questions about the template anyway. During this period, the questions will normally be phrased in the future tense to help you prepare for the template's regular activity. More than 18 months prior to the begin activity date is considered too early to even think about the template, in which case it is automatically categorized as TBD or to be determined. Note that the background for this field is a gold color. If you see a field that is colored like this, it indicates that the field can be modified, but probably shouldn't be, except by a risk administrator or someone with a thorough understanding of the program. Next is the last updated date, which will tell you the last time that anyone made changes to the data on this screen. Here you can see the compliance percentage and the current risk ranking. Compliance is calculated by dividing the number of points from compliant questions by the total points available for the template. This percentage is then used to calculate the likelihood of occurrence. The likelihood of occurrence is assumed to be roughly the inverse of the compliance divided by 20. The risk ranking is then calculated by cross-referencing likelihood and impact on the risk matrix for process risks. The default matrix for process risks normally looks like this, but this can be adjusted through the baselining menu, which we'll see in Lesson 9. With a current compliance of 39%, you can see that this template has been categorized as high risk. Next are the impact values for the risk. I'll explain these in just a moment, but first a quick comment on TRIMS terminology. Most risk management software describes risks in terms of probability and consequence. TRIMS uses the terms likelihood and impact to describe these same items. Roughly equivalent to probability and consequence, we feel that the TRIMS terminology is more accurate, especially when you are talking about process-based risks. Back to the impact values. We established earlier that risk is calculated from likelihood and impact, but why are there 4 different values? The answer is flexibility. Instead of limiting your risk assessment to a single value for impact, TRIMS allows you to look at your risks from as many as 4 different perspectives. These are the 4 values shown here. The basic concept is that while there is a single likelihood of an event occurring, it can affect a program in different ways. More to the point, it will affect these aspects of the program to varying degrees. If we go back to the main display, you can see a selection labeled Risk Display in the lower right corner of the screen. By changing this, you can specify which aspect of risk you want to look at. This setting determines which impact value is used to calculate risk levels and affects all risk calculations throughout the program. You have 4 choices corresponding to the 4 individual impact values, as well as a 5th choice to use the highest impact value when calculating your risk. So this template has been rated high risk because the performance impact is set to 5. If the impact value were only 4, if for instance this template were a little less critical, then a 39% compliance would result in a medium risk ranking. However, since this is an important template, we'll leave the impact setting at 5. Now, you don't have to use all 4 values. If you only want to describe risk impacts generically, you can use the performance impact by itself. However, if you decide to do this, we recommend that you set all other impact values to NA to reflect the fact that they are not being used. Immediately to the right of the impact values, you'll see a blue circle with a letter I inside it. If you click on it, you'll bring up an information window with guidance on how to set impact values on your program. This data can be modified outside of TRIMS. For more information, please see the online help. The next area to look at is the personnel assignments. This section allows a program manager to assign various template-related responsibilities to specific individuals. The available fields allow you to specify someone to initiate tasking, to monitor progress, or you can give someone approval authority for the template. You don't have to use all of the fields, but they are provided for you should you find them to be useful. Next to each personnel entry is a button that links to the Personnel Info page. Clicking it will display contact information for that person, so you can find them when you have a question. Every name that is entered into any of the assignment fields is recorded here, so you can also use this as a reference to find anybody who is a part of your program. When you are editing these fields, you can enter a name quickly and easily by selecting it from the pull-down list, or you can begin typing until the name that you want appears in the window. Below the personnel assignments, there's a block of additional data fields. These fields may be either true or false or multiple choice and can be defined in baselining. This will be covered specifically in Lesson 9. Below the additional fields is a general purpose notes field. This is a simple text field that can be used to record general notes or informational items about this specific template. For instance, if a template is high risk and the risk level cannot be completely mitigated, the notes field can be used to provide an explanation. Over to the right, just below the risk ranking, is the weight field for the template. This is only applicable if you are using advanced roll-up weighting, which is described in Lesson 7. If you are using this feature, then the weight determines the importance of this template relative to the other templates within the current category. If you are not using this feature, the weight field is irrelevant and can be safely ignored. Immediately below the weight field are the navigation buttons, also known as VCR buttons. This first set of buttons will navigate from category to category. This button will advance to the next category. This one will take you back to the previous category. The next set of buttons is used to navigate between templates. This one will take us to the next template, and this one will take us back again. Note that these buttons are sensitive to the current filter. As I continue to advance, templates that are not part of the current filter are skipped. The same thing applies to categories and questions. Now let's look at the true heart of the TRIMS methodology, which is the questions that make up each template.